Volleyball is a sport that is rising in popularity that encompasses many dynamic movements that heavily involve coordination, such as hitting, digging, serving, spiking, etc. Each volleyball court is split into two halves with a centerline and net that divides the court. Indoor volleyball has 6 players per team, with 3 players in the front and 3 players in the back. Each player will rotate positions, meaning each player serves the ball. Volleyball requires quick changes in direction, fast reaction time, and agility. The game involves the ball being played back and forth over the net until a point is won in the rally. The goal of the volleyball serve is to be fast, strong, and stay within the boundary lines, whilst still making it over the net. Each point in a volleyball game starts with a serve, and the serve determines the game outcome. Overhead motions in sports such as volleyball jump serves require speed and coordination to achieve success of the skill. Jump serves require greater coordination and concentration on the execution of the skill from start to finish than any other serves. So the volleyball serve has 5 phases, and these include toss of the ball, which is the preparation stage, two-legged jump, which is the takeoff, the counter movement, which is the arm acceleration, and follow through, which is contact with the ball. These biomechanical principles are important in the execution of the skill. The toss of the ball is an important component of the whole skill, which requires enough height for higher points of contact with the ball. Low toss heights can cause errors due to less air time, resulting in an overall loss of a point in the rally. The results from a study completed by McKenzie 2012 found that higher points of contact with the ball were associated with increased ball speeds. It is also important that the takeoff is coordinated and that the ball is struck at the height of the jump. The arm acceleration counter movement phase. The arm acceleration counter movement phase involves the player to cock back their arm, where the player's shoulder is externally rotated, allowing for maximal angular velocity as a result of a greater angle. The follow-through phase is where the ball contact occurs. In this phase, the shoulder is flexed and is internally rotated whilst the elbow is extended for maximal force transfer to the ball for maximal speed. So from these last 2 stages, the acceleration and the follow-through phase, they both require maximal effort to achieve maximal results. So these phases determine the projected direction of the ball and the forces that are reduced. This phase also determines the velocity that is transferred through to the ball as well. So this skill follows Newton's third law of motion, where every action has an equal and opposite reaction force. So the greater the force that is transferred to the ball, the greater the velocity and speed of the ball is projected, which makes it easier for when it reaches over the net onto the opposing side. So when conducting the recording of the skill, it's very important to have considerations. So considerations to take into account are bright colored markers. The markers cannot be too big, but they cannot be too small that they cannot be seen during the recording. So darker clothing is recommended to be worn so that the markers can be seen. The area that the filming occurs in doesn't have too much sunlight, making it hard to see. We'll use a normal volleyball, which is the same size as what would be used in a regular volleyball game. A 1 meter ruler is used for calibration of the video for the analysis of the results. Landmarks need to be chosen prior to the recording and need to be marked with the colored markers. It needs to be the area of filming needs to be an open area that allows for enough light. A tripod is also used to film the movement, and the camera has to be placed in the correct position so that the whole movement is viewed from start. The whole movement from start to finish is visible in the whole recording. So in the first recording session, the skill was recorded 3 times. However, the markers throughout the filming kept on falling off, so another recording time was scheduled. In the second recording session, the skill was recorded 3 times on the sports court, with the camera facing the athlete's right-hand side of the body through the sagittal plane with no one in the background. So to be able to determine where the critical features are, the body markers were placed on the athlete's shoulder, on the back and on the side, their elbow, their wrist, their hip, their knee, and their ankle. So the video recorded was analysed through Canovia to detect faults and weaknesses of the movements and to analyse the critical features with kinematics and kinetics. So from the observations of the movement that was recorded, the movement relatively follows each of the phases of the volleyball jump serve. The movement follows the posture roughly of what a volleyball serve would involve. The toss of the ball had great height, allowing for more airtime and higher points of contact, allowing for more preparation before the acceleration and follow-through phases. So the toss height of the ball was 2.29 meters high. So this allowed for our athlete in the recording to prepare for the acceleration stage. The initial stage of the acceleration phase looks good, with the counter movement of the arm cocking back the arm, in which the athlete has shown a clear difference in the takeoff and acceleration phase. So the player had an external rotation of an angle of 52.1 degrees, and the follow-through of the ball looked strong, with the ball coming into contact before full flexion of the elbow. The center of gravity throughout the movement remained consistent, allowing for the athlete to stay up and down on the spot without additional movements. However, in the takeoff phase, there needs to be more height in the jump at the start of the serve to be able to achieve an optimal serve. The athlete also angled their body to the side, which restricted their jump height. There was no arm swing or squat to produce greater force from the lower extremities to produce a greater jump height. So for some corrections for the athlete, in the takeoff phases, the athlete needs to swing their arms hard and fast when they bend their lower extremities to produce a greater force to increase their jump height, which will overall increase the fluidity of the skill. And the athlete also needs to bring their arm back further in the acceleration phase to produce greater force and velocity for the next phase, which is ball contact.